So unfortunately, this is as good as it's gonna get. Starting this video because I wanted to keep track of myself reading. It's a hobby that I've fallen out of doing since I was in like I want to say like high school freshman years. That's when I started playing video games. And I stopped reading a lot. So I wanted to pick up back up on that. And embarrassingly enough, one of the first books that well, actually, the very first book that I ended up reading was called The Scottish Boy. And this is very much like a review of that book. I do have a written review without spoilers. The thing I read it on Kindle. The reason why I picked up Scottish Boy was my friend recommended it to me. It's it's a gay romance basically. The first chapter makes it seem like it's gonna be very historical, kind of historical fiction. It is, but it primarily it's a gay romance primarily. There's no ifs and stuff like just it just is. And it's very out there, like in your face about it too. It's not oh it's like a subtle thing. No, it is full on, I would say, borderline erotica. You wouldn't guess it until it happens. It kind of slaps you on the face out of nowhere, for me, in my opinion. I mean, luckily for me, I knew what to expect because my friend flat out told me, hey, it's basically a porn. I don't think it was porn, but I can see why he thought it that way. And I shouldn't complain because he literally said, "Hey, it's porn," basically. But there was quite a bit of sex scenes in the book. I want to say at least 5 or 6 times, and I think that's a bit much, isn't it? Especially if it's romance. I mean, unless it's meant to be erotica. It doesn't read like erotica though, especially at the beginning. So that's what just kind of gets me. And the thing about that is though, when you, at least what I think, anyways, when you read erotica, you kind of get that tone and style right off the bat. I didn't have that with this book. It actually started off making me feel like a little bit upset because I don't read much historic, even when I was young and when I was a voracious reader. I didn't really read historical fiction or anything like that, because when I read books I get very very into it, like I get immersed into it. However, at the same time I end up bringing myself into it. So like if there's like an upsetting event in historics, I get very upset. And I when I read books, especially like, well, when I'm reading for hobby, especially not for academic reasons, I'm reading to escape it, to feel like to have fun with it. The thing is, it's about English Knight. The main character is Harry, and then there's the love interest that comes out. I'm not gonna, well, I guess it's not a big spoiler. I mean, I guess I don't care if it's spoiler or not. Like, that's literally what this video is for. So the love interest is Ian, Ian, or I don't know how to pronounce it, but as the title suggests, he is from Scotland, and then it's in 13th century, I think, if I recall correctly, but. Be, there's like wars going on, and there's a lot of casual, like, I guess it's racism. I'm not from around there. I don't know anything about English history or Scotland's, but I know there was a lot of problems going on. But basically, it kind of dabbles in that, in a sense. So, and there is a lot of dehumanizing element to the Scots, and it made me very upset. I almost did not finish this book just because of that. And right off the bat, because of the first chapter, I had a different impression compared to what my friend recommended as. So it was a little bit of a whiplash as I was reading it. However, I did finish it. Obviously, I continued on, and I think it was around chapter 3, I want to say, but sex happens. It's not even between two characters. It's just basically masturbation that just kind of happens in the scene. And like I said, you don't really get a hint of it much until literally the word cock just kind of slaps you in the face. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so that escalated real quickly. And let me tell you, I was not wrong. It escalated really, really quickly from there. And almost back to back, I want to say, like, what? You get about like 2, 3 different positional sex scenes. And it threw me off of the loop. It's like, oh yeah, no, this is actually this is more reading more like a historical fiction, and then it just slaps you on the face, metaphorically. And I mean, I'll be honest. The scenes described are very direct. I want to say it's not purple. It's very direct. It describes the scene very anatomically, and I don't mind that. I actually like prefer it, especially I think it suits for this book. But basically, it paints a very vivid picture, and that's the element of erotica slash porn in that side, and the author does a very good job of it describing it. So I don't think that's bad. I think it's actually very good if you were looking for something like that. But this is just me. My minor complaint was that I wish it delayed the quote unquote payoff in terms of that, because it did kind of feel like it came out of nowhere in terms of the scene. I do pick up on possible emotional connection between the two characters before that, so I don't think that's too much of a far stretch, but it kind of does happen rather fast. And my friend actually commented that it's just because I'm apparently a masochist and likes to draw things out. Maybe I tend to like the whole longing and stuff like that, and there is plenty of that, but not at the beginning as you would think. It's very much a relationship happens, but not on chapter one, obviously, because chapter one is very different kind of feel to it. But relationship happens and events happen, and then the longing happens. It's kind of that kind of progress in terms of book, in terms of the plot. The plot itself is very much about the love interest's identity, or like the secret identity, the politics around that. But I feel like it kind of sorts itself out too easily, compared to the whole setup. The setup, the payoff isn't as great as compared to a setup in terms of the political aspect of it. I think primarily this is definitely a romance book. That's why I say it's a romance book, and not a historical fiction with sex in it. It is definitely a romance form first and foremost. There was also another element. There was at the beginning of the first portion of the book, I thought the main conflict would be religion, because the fourth portion of the book kind of sets it up to be that way. But that kind of wraps itself up real fast. I did think when she wrote it, like when they did address it, it was actually done pretty well, because it was very introspective in terms of how the main character, the Harry, feels in regards to his homosexual love, especially considering the medieval times of the persecution and stuff like that. So when it comes to the Harry himself, I think it was done well. But having said that, he also kind of gets over it really fast. Like, just he's like, oh yeah, actually, no, this is love. If this is seen, oh well, then whatever, I guess. Then we'll just fight on together. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that can't happen. It's just, and there's a scene where somebody almost gets burned alive for loving another man, for a man to love another man, not to the main character, but for someone else. So it already paints like a really, oh, this is a serious thing. This is actually something that people should take really serious concern about. And it goes on with that, and then it just kind of solves itself. Well, not itself, but it does kind of solve, and then it just never brought up again. It's just done and gone, which is kind of a shame. I'm not saying it has to be dragged on, but I think it just feels like, oh yeah, now it feels kind of like a checklist, like, oh yeah, we've did this part of the plot, so we're gonna move on to the next part, and we're not even gonna linger or like reminisce about it at all. That's what it feels like, because the first portion of the book is about that, is about religion. The second portion is where I really like the second portion because that's where it picks up the whole the setting. It utilizes the setting very well in terms of like tournaments, knights, jousting and stuff like that. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I actually, that's my favorite part of the book, not the sex scene. Even though I really did enjoy the sex scenes, I still think that's way too much of it. In fact, speaking of which, there's a side character called I think Elise. This is a female character basically. She's more or less basically a beard for the main character. And then the thing about her is that she comes off as asexual in a sense. She doesn't want sex with men. As far as we know, she just doesn't want sex, period. She doesn't say she likes women or anything like that. So it's not a lavender or whatever it was called, marriage. But it's just kind of said and it's never dwelled on, and it's not even just like a off character. She's very much like a very plot relevant side character, because the whole plot would kind of complicate itself without her in a sense, and she kind of is the source of the whole usual misunderstanding kind of thing, like, oh, because Harry is trying to marry her for sake of the getting heirs and all that, getting money, the dowry money and stuff like that. And then there is the misunderstanding between Harry and Ian, the main love interest, because of that. So she's the producer of that conflict. And at the same time, she's also resolves another conflict that Harry has externally in terms of financial and stuff. Yet she isn't dwelled upon. Like, her personality comes out, and I do like her personality. She's very likable, but she doesn't get much fleshing out from that. I feel like if she was meant to be asexual, I think it should have been a little bit more addressed, maybe. So I don't mean like she should be given a whole chapter. No, I don't mean that. I think like one more paragraph or something like that regarding her would have benefited a lot. And I seriously think they could have cut one of the sex scenes to give her that spot, okay, give her that word count, that it would have helped, in my opinion, in terms of the whole, not only just her, but in terms of the whole book. But they didn't. She just kind of is a convenient plot character. Very likable, convenient plot character, unfortunately, but still, just a plot character. That said, I like the ending. Ending was okay. It ends in a very happily ever after kind of ending, which is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, which is expected in romance. I had no idea for the longest time. I thought, I'm a sucker for tragedy, so that was something. I'm not saying I wanted it to end in tragedy, but I just didn't know that romance needed a happy ending. So there was that. But I think that's about all there was. It's good. One more thing. The writing. I've noticed that it's primarily third person limited character, so it's based on Harry's perspective. But I did notice like one sentence here or a paragraph there, it would switch to omniscient third person. Like, it would talk about something that Harry doesn't know. And you can still do that sometimes if you say Harry, something like Harry would later find out, blah blah blah. I guess I don't think even then I think that's a little bit iffy because it kind of throws you off. But yeah, there was definitely a sentence or two regarding that, like in a writing style, that kind of threw me off. And there were word choices where I was like, this feels very modern. It kind of threw me off there as well. So there were little instances where it threw me off the immersion and made me go, what? Yeah, but otherwise, I think the writing is pretty good. I think the overall was pretty good. But I ended up giving it like 4 out of 5 in terms of my rating on Goodreads, because again, this was from Kindle, so it's connected right there. It asked me right away if I wanted to rate it. So I did 4 out of 5. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it was good, but there, because of the little contrivance, like a little thing that were threw me off the immersion, and then the whole too much sex, not enough expanding the character that I actually cared about. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Harry and the main love interest. I think they're fantastic. But I don't know. Like I'm sure like someone like my friend would disagree that no, it needs more sex scene or stuff like that. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's fine, but like I don't know. I like if the whole thing is fine, but I want some more substance with it. Like if I just wanted sex back to back to back, I would just literally read porn that has no story in it. But that's not why I read romance, I guess. Yeah, there it is. That's my review, my feedback of The Scottish Boy, by who was it by? It was Alex de Campi, The Scottish Boy. Yeah, so 4 out of 5. I would actually say it was 4.5 out of 5, more than 4 out of 5. But I don't get to give half stars in Goodreads, so there it is. But yeah, next book that I'm going to read, don't know yet, but hopefully this recording this will encourage me to keep reading more books and keep it up, have a bit more healthier hobby, I guess, even though what I read is basically a smut, but hey, I'm still reading words.